I know you talk about a lot, Lee, is pushing through the hard. So tell me what you mean by that. So, because we've talked about really enjoying the high school years, but they can be really hard too. All of homeschooling can be hard. And all of it is glorious and hard at the same time, So I don't want to paint a bad picture and I don't want to paint this perfect picture either of no struggles along the way. So when you say to push through the part hard, just tell us what you mean and how you did that.
Yes, I'm all for being realistic because there are hard times. For me, the 24/7 without a break was hard. That was hard for me, and maybe it comes easily to some moms, but I had this vision in my mind of when my kids would all be in school and I would actually get a break, and so it took me many years, probably all the years of homeschooling, to to wrap my mind around it's okay to not have that break of 7 hours for 5 days a week. God will sustain me. Just keep leaning into that and find ways that I can maybe get a little bit of a solace of a break. And there were times like we talk about co-ops, and there was times where I could find a co-op and get a little bit of a break during that co-op. Or maybe I had to volunteer. I'd be like, I'll volunteer in the nursery and hold all the babies. And to me, that was a little bit of a break and with their education. But it just the no breaks was really hard, and I had to learn to die to my selfish desires of wanting that break, of thinking that I needed that break, that the Lord wasn't enough to sustain me, and, He wouldn't provide, enough rest for me and enough, peace for me, and so I had to work through that, through all the homeschooling years, and we can homeschool, and it can be hard. Those 2 things, it's not that we have to homeschool and it has to be perfect. We can homeschool through the hard, and there were some seasons of hardness, whether it was character, whether it was, difficulties, in the family, finances. We moved one year and to a different state, and so that year of moving and then homeschooling, it was hard, but we kept doing it. It was also I was also so I felt so blessed that we homeschooled. So when we moved, there wasn't this big adjustment. I remember the night before public school started in that area, we were sitting out in the backyard roasting s'mores, and there was not a care in the world for my kids. And I was like, If they were in school, they'd be so stressed right now about the next day and starting at a brand new place, not knowing anybody, and there was just no stress, and I was like, "Just thank you, God, for just this blessing that we had this big, huge move that we felt He wanted us to make, but then we didn't have to go through all of that stress." So there's times, and, we can choose difficult academics, we can choose some rigorous, curriculum, but my hard, was because there was always training, and there was always discipleship. The training of maybe the chores or training of who knows whether it's practical types of things or just the discipleship, just working to reach their hearts, and so that's what felt hard for me, was just that I was always on for so many years, and I think that it's an overall kind of like, yes, there's probably about I think that for most homeschool moms, there's probably about 10 years that are hard, that, like, are the hardest.
Yeah.
And, then you get to that other side and you're like, "Oh, okay, I made it through." And going back to the beginning when I was just talking about the fact that, God called me to do this, it was just my job was to do it. And so getting through those 10 years and then, the past couple years have been comparatively quite easy and a lot more fun, but because we just kinda kept putting one foot in front of the other. So, pushing through the hard just means just doing it, just trusting that God has called you, He'll equip you, and just doing that day instead of sometimes we just focus way too big, just doing that day. How can I do this day well, and how can I glorify Him?